Cheers, good luck, hopefully to some talent.
I love her look.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Did you bring, like, your whole school or something?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know there was this many people coming.
What's your name?
Isabella.
Isabella. How old are you?
Oh my God, it's my birthday. I'm 18. Oh my God, today. Oh yeah.
So you finished school?
I've left school.
You've left school?
I was in year 12 this year, and I left school about 2 months ago.
Okay, why was that?
I run out of motivation. I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I finished, so I just felt like I had nowhere to go. So I thought I'd take this year off and then try out heaps of different things and see what I want to do, and that's why I'm here.
How did your parents feel about that?
Well, it took them a while at first, but I don't think they saw it coming. I don't think really anyone saw it coming.
I left school because I wasn't enjoying my time there at all. It was a struggle for me.
Once she made that decision, as hard as it was for me to accept it, I could see this incredible weight lift off her shoulders, and she just seemed a lot more happy.
Yeah, I have no backup plan.
Let's say you get on there, you get really nervous, you've forgotten the words of a song, what are you going to do?
Just singing. I do know the song.
This dream is completely out of my hands. I can only just say that I'm here, I'll support her, I'll do whatever it takes. Good luck with it.
Thanks, Mum.
She's my daughter and I love her, and I'm very proud of her.
Bella, what are you going to sing?
I'm going to sing Skinny Love by Bon Iver, but I'm doing Birdie's version.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so not the original, but...
Great. Oh, good luck, Bella.
Thank you.
Good luck, Bella.
Oh, I'm really nervous. Okay.
Okay.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, it's a mile a minute.
Come on, skinny love, just lost the year. Pour a little song we were never here. My, 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 my. Staring at the zinc of blood and crushed veneer. I tell my love to wreck it all. Cut down all the ropes and let me fall. And my, 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 my. Oh, right in the moment is all is tall. And I told you to be patient, and I told you to be fine, and I told you to be balanced, and I told you to be kind. And in the morning I'll be with you, but it'll be a different kind. 'Cause I'll be holding all the tickets, and you'll be holding all the fines. Come on, skinny love, what happened here? And suckle on the hoping I'd resist. And my, 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 my. Oh, something load is full, so slow on the split. And I told you to be patient, and I told you to be fine, and I told you to be balanced, and I told you to be kind. And now if all your love is wasted, well then who the hell is I? 'Cause now I'm breaking at the bridges, and at the end of all your lines. Who will love you? Who will fight? And who will fall far behind? Come on, skinny love. my, 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 my. Oh, my, 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 my.
And Mike's shaking.
Sorry, I'm so nervous.
Bella, every single person in this room has just witnessed the birth of something so special.
I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't think you realised how absolutely amazing you are.
Really?
Because that was truly amazing. Truly amazing.
Isabella, you know what Adele did around the world? Your voice has the power to do what Adele's just done all around the world.
This time last year, we witnessed something amazing on this very stage. He was a young guy called Reese Maston. The four of us, we saw something, and we kind of knew he was going to go all the way, but you never know. And he went all the way, and he won the X Factor last year. I truly, truly believe we've just seen that again.
Bella, we have to vote. You need 3 yeses. Oh, the jeopardy. I wonder what's going to happen.
I'm not sure what
Bella, don't change a thing. Please do that every time you sing. It's a yes from me.
It's a hands-down big yes from me.
Bella, that's a yes from me.
The best first audition I've ever seen. It's a yes from me. Well done.
I don't know what to say. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Sorry, bye.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Congratulations. Girls, go and celebrate. Well done. Wow, that was ridiculous.
Hey everyone, welcome to Module 2 of Love Out Loud. The topic is honesty, and I'm really honoured to introduce you to a friend of mine, but also someone who's pretty amazing in their own right, Isabella Mears. And is it cool if I tell everyone the story of how we met?
You can tell everyone.
Cool. So I was actually with a friend of mine, and we were walking down the streets of Surrey Hills after having a few drinks and catching up.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend said, why don't we go into this bar? And I looked at the bar and it was sort of like, it's a bit dead. I think we should just go back home. I was kind of over the evening, and he was like, no, I'm really hungry. I think I want to get something to eat. So we walked in, and Bella was actually our waitress. Yeah. And decided to tell us her story of life, basically giving us the rundown. Yeah, you did. Oh. Because I think Reed was telling you, my friend was telling you about his involvement with Sony, and you started to talk about.
Yeah, well, I've served Reed a few times before I met you.
Right.
Yeah, so I already knew Reed.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, I didn't know that I almost didn't meet you that night.
How's this? And then you started to tell us that a few years ago in 2012 came what in X Factor?
4th place. Nicole, you should know
Place.
this.
I should know that. Well, you're a winner in my eyes, Bella. So
Thank
I
you.
don't need to know the place that you came in X Factor.
Well, it was 4th.
But then I realised that I had actually seen your audition on YouTube later when I looked you up and stalked you on the internet, which I probably haven't told you I've done either, but I did do
I
that.
figured as much, Nicole.
And thought, wow, this is really, it's compelling. It was very compelling, and this is why I wanted to share you guys with, you with my community, because I feel like your story is very unconventional. And chapter 2, which is honesty, is all about following your desires, but not just the desires that you feel you should have or that society presses you to have, but actually staying true to yourself and being honest with who you are as a person and following what your actual desires are away from anyone else's opinion. And you were 18 when you went on the show, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so very young. You came 4th, you were the favourite to win.
Yes.
And
I was also, if I may add, the promo girl, so even if you didn't watch my audition, you probably saw me on the back of a bus or in a newspaper or on the ads. So it was very much, like I was very much a focal point of that series, I think.
yeah, right, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to dive into your experience of that, because through all of that, can I just ask, have you had much of an opportunity since then to really share your side?
Not in as big a capacity, perhaps.
Yeah, so do friends and family.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I mean, that definitely, you have a reach of, I think there was like 4 million people maybe tuning in every night.
Wow.
So,
Across Australia?
yeah, across Australia.
Amazing. Yeah, that's so incredible.
But then of course, like a lot more views on YouTube as well. Because I amassed quite an international audience. I went viral, as I like to say.
Yeah.
So, just that reach is, I haven't obviously had that reach again.
Yeah, well, I looked you up on YouTube just the other day when I was preparing for this interview, and even now, I think it's over 12 million, your edition.
And that's not even the original.
Yeah,
They took it down. So that version that you've seen was fan uploaded.
Wow.
But the actual account,
Why did they take
I have no idea.
Because Sony was pissed off with you.
Maybe.
We
I
should
think because a few
contextualise
people
that.
off.
We're jumping too far down the line. We need
oh.
to bring it back.
Okay.
So you came 4th, and then you released a single, or a couple of singles.
Yes.
That went to the charts immediately.
Yep, pretty much
Pretty much.
immediately. I got one top 10, I think.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you had pre-written that in the...
I didn't write it.
So Sony wrote them for you?
Yes.
But you had recorded it in case you won?
That's right.
But Sony decided that they were going to release it for you anyway?
Yeah, well, they had the upper hand because they had, I think it was the top 5 recorded their would-be winner singles. So then by the time the winner is announced, there's already like 4 runner-ups that also have a single ready to go. And I think my year was also the first year they did it differently. So they used to give all the artists the same song.
Yeah.
But my year, they actually wrote an individual song for that artist.
Right, so
Yeah.
all of you guys had different songs
That's right.
ready to go, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like a given that if you came 4th place, that was going to be...
No, I had no
Yeah.
idea. I was actually, here's a little fun fact for you, is that I was actually signed before Samantha Jade had won the competition.
Right, cool.
So the minute I walked off stage from being eliminated, I was on the phone to Dennis Hanlon, who is the head of Sony, and he said, we're picking up your contract. And told me on that phone call.
Because that was a shock for everyone, hey,
That I
that you
came
were
forth.
eliminated at that point.
I don't know, I knew. I have a very powerful intuition.
Yeah.
The minute I made it into the top 12, I just had a feeling I would come forth. I don't know why I thought that, but I even told Samantha Jade in the first week, I was like, I'm going to come forth. And she was like, really? Yeah. So I don't know, I always knew I'd come forth. Maybe it was a shock to the rest of you, but I knew.
Wow, okay, so then you had these singles, one made the top 10, and as an 18-year-old, you were experiencing quite a significant degree of fame.
Sure.
Like being recognised on the street.
Yep. Lots of people on Twitter and Instagram. Like I amassed quite a few followers. I think it was like 100,000 or 200,000 followers on Twitter before I had deactivated it.
Yeah.
So I actually chose to deactivate all my social media.
Which is fascinating, and we'll get to that.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. In itself. But you had decided at that point to make this massive call in your life, which
Yes.
was to actually not renew a contract with Sony.
Yes.
Or to actually...
I preempted the null and void of the contract. That was
Right.
all from me.
Yeah, which I just find mind-blowing, because when you look at, I guess, this sort of fantasy that so many aspiring artists, but people that don't even have talent have, which is this, idea that you're going to be a rock star, that you're going to be famous, that someone like Sony is going to recognise your talent and want to back you and support you. At 18 years old, you decided that's actually not true to who I am. And you decided to take a step away.
Yeah, I think you could definitely say that, yeah, definitely.
And this is what I want to interview on. As much as that process and that journey was amazing and, you know, powerful, and we could probably create an amazing 45 to 60 minute interview just on that journey through X Factor. But what I'm really interested in sharing with these guys is what was it in you? What characteristic, what part of your journey informed that wisdom?
To leave.
To leave, yeah. And I kind of want to go back a bit, if that's cool, because I'm assuming that wasn't wisdom that you just gained on the show. This was a part of your nature through your childhood, through the fact that you left school before you finished school. And what was it even that, when all of the pressures, and I've heard you sort of speak about the pressures that your mum was putting on you at the time to finish school, her aspirations of you academically, and what that meant to her. Just going back to the Bella as a young person, firstly, was music always the dream?
I think so, yeah, I think so. I was singing and doing music from a very young age. I was very drawn to music. Just as a form of self-expression, like I was singing all the time. My mum always used to say that when I was born, I had already recognised songs from being in the womb. It's like when I was a baby, I would recognise certain ads that came on TV just from having listened to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So very auditory.
Extremely auditory. I still to this day can't read music. I just rely on my ear. And yeah.
So that natural talent was always
I think
there,
so,
and that inclination.
Yeah.
And what about what music brings you in terms of expression and self-expression? What has that always meant to you, even as a young person?
It's hard to put into words, really. I don't know, I've just always felt like when I'm performing on stage, for example, like it gives me it's an amazing feeling. It's very hard. It's probably the same way that you feel when you're talking, to be honest, but it's almost like there's a fire that's been lit up and it's like, it feels very certain, like you're in the right place. Yeah, definitely. It's like electricity. But I love performing. Like I really love singing. I just, storytelling, expression,
Awesome, cool. And even as a kid you felt that?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is what is, I think, so beautiful about that, because this wasn't a byproduct of having a natural talent and then getting a break and wanting to pursue that. This was a really fundamental part of who you were.
I think so.
And I feel like maybe that was the reason why you were able to stay so true to yourself, because it was it was something that was so authentic to you. And it's allowed you, it's been an anchor in you being able to stay honest with yourself through this whole journey of expressing yourself, not just through music, but as a person.
Yeah.
And sort of meeting other people through your journey in the industry, because I know I experienced this as a speaker, but also as an entrepreneur. People, when they get given a really big break, they're kind of not necessarily the same person at the top as they were on the bottom.
Yeah.
And this is a big part of what I sort of explore through the chapter, is when you're on this journey to love and self-love and self-expression and self-actualization, honesty is a really core component in that journey. Because if you're not able to stay honest in yourself and congruent in who you are, then, what's the point of any of it?
Oh, exactly.
So, I just want to sort of hear your perspective on that. Have there been people that you've met in that industry and on that journey that you've seen, that process and that journey's really changed them? And what do you think differentiates you from those people?
That's a very multifaceted question. But I think like a prime example as well is that I didn't aspire to be anyone when I went on X Factor. Really for me, I'd say that whole experience was a bit of an escape, because I just left year 12. And I didn't know what I wanted to do instead, but I knew that music was I knew that I could do it. I had no doubt in my mind. As I said, I'm very intuitive. I knew if I auditioned, I'd be on TV. I just had that inkling.
Right, so because you had that confidence.
But that because of my voice, not for any other reason did I think that. And I definitely met people along the way who maybe believe that music and fame are tied, and that's never been the fact for me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you succeed, obviously fame comes with it, but I think a lot of people do like having that recognition, whether or not the music itself is of any relevance.
Yeah, right. So
I'm not that's the answer you're looking for.
No, totally, and I think it's a really you know, valid point for people to relate more broadly to their journey. That when you find something that is real for you and that you're good at, and that you can really be honest with yourself about authentically, that it's actually not about any of those external factors. It's about what it brings you as an individual, irrespective of the fame, the success, the money.
Oh, 100%.
The recognition.
And like, I won't pretend that, like, I don't even like using the word fans, and I never did like using the word fans, but I guess just for the purpose of this interview, like, I had quite a substantial fan base. And they would say really lovely things to me, but ultimately I quit all that social media because that affirmation means nothing if it's not, if what I'm putting out
So how did you experience that as someone that is true to themselves when people were, because I know I've definitely experienced similar things in my own way, but it's actually been, I can really relate to that, because when people have complimented me, there's a part of me that's always sort of been like, well, you know, what, on what grounds are you really saying that? You know, is it the idea that you have of what I'm standing for, or is it because you really see me and you really value me as a person? So as an 18-year-old, what was your journey in that experience and trying to reconcile that with yourself?
I don't know, I think strangely enough, I almost felt disconnected because suddenly Bella Ferraro, so Bella Ferraro is the, I guess, pseudonym that I used for the purpose of the show, but I suddenly felt a very strong disconnect to Bella Ferraro, and that stopped having any, that was definitely, like, I look back on that now, and Bella Ferraro was definitely a character I was playing. You know, it was definitely, she was an artist, like, and I said she released singles, she went on tours, she performed on the X Factor, etc., etc. But that is just one side of who I am. It wasn't actually, I didn't...
The whole self.
And I guess, like, because I don't ever watch X Factor, you know what I mean? Those shows, it's not what I'm into. So I can't relate to then, I guess, people who do resonate with that because it's not what I actually value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And how do you relate when you look back now at Bella Ferraro as a character, as an alter ego? How do you relate to her as a person?
You ask such tricky questions. I mean, it is me. I can't pretend that it's not me at the same time. But I think at 18 as well, like, I was very aware of, like, what going on those shows is. So it was me, but it was just a very exaggerated.
Sure.
Like, it's almost like
that helped you build your confidence, having that stage to be able to exaggerate yourself?
Oh, I think definitely, yeah. Like, I loved it. Like, you know, there are parts of it you love and you hate. But I actually loved getting dressed up. I loved having my hair and makeup done, and I treated it very much as, like, it was... Like, to me, it didn't feel like I was being changed. Like, I never look at it as I was changed. It's like, this is what the vision of the producers on X Factor, and there are so many as well. Like, there's an entire art department. There's an entire costume department. So it's actually... Bella Ferraro was really the body of work of many different people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I can certainly
did you feel
appreciate...
that at the time?
Yeah, of course. But that's, I think, because I allowed myself to perceive it as such, I was able to fully commit, because I was able to be like, well, it's not me, but it's still cool, you know, it's still a collaboration, I guess.
Totally.
You know,
and do you think that allowed you to stay honest with yourself through that process?
Because I was able to step back, definitely.
And what about, like, how that compares to how other contendants that you had relationships with experienced that journey and that process?
So I think I feel very fortunate to have come out the other side of a reality show of that vein, and not think of it poorly. I think I've met up with a lot of contestants, you know, since, and I'm still on social media and engaged with them in a way as well, and I can tell that there's regret, or perhaps they don't feel like they were portrayed in the way that they would have portrayed themselves. But I think that's because I think that also comes down to, like, maybe an expectation of what they would get out of auditioning.
So that expectation wasn't met.
Definitely.
And you
but I didn't have any expectations.
Yeah.
I had just dropped out of school. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But
so did you drop out of school for that audition?
No, and X Factor said I did. But that was just their story. So their whole story was like, here's this kid who's dropped out of school, and she wants to be a singer. But for me, it's like, I don't know what I want to do. I just know that I can sing.
And you left school because you knew that
because
for whatever reason that wasn't right for you.
But stay in school.
Yeah.
But I hated school. I just
No, this is great, because how many people, if there is a young person watching this interview, right, and they're at this point in their life, where they're 16, 17 years old, and fuck, I've worked with thousands of them, where they have all this pressure in the world to make these decisions that actually completely go against what their feelings and their intuition is telling them is right.
Yeah.
And I've often felt in a really compromised situation where I feel like society is even pressuring me as a mentor to say to these guys, you know, you do need to finish school and you should just do it, and if you still feel this way at the end, then don't go to uni or follow your path. But really, like for me, Love Out Loud it's selfish in a way as a body of work, because this is me giving myself permission via giving other people permission to sort of say, fuck it, this is actually about doing what you want to do with your life. Because of course. None of us are going to get out of life alive. We're all going to die. There's inevitably going to be an end to this. So why do we have to live our lives, you know, through these niceties of what other people expect us to, which is a really big component of this chapter specifically. One of the main sub-chapters within chapter 2 is something I frame as putting your necessities over niceties. And it explores this idea that as a society we get taught that we need to be polite over putting our needs over sort of prioritising our needs. And as a result of being polite and meeting what other people's expectations are, we actually take away from ourselves, from our own needs, from our own sense of self-expression. And I just want to abolish that as a component of our culture.
No, of course, so do I.
I think niceties, they just get in the way. Like, why should you have to be polite and comply just because it makes someone else feel comfortable? I think it's really interesting that as an 18-year-old you had the insight to be able to do that, because you knew what your needs were at that point in your life. And I'm assuming you had a foresight of what saying yes to that contract with Sony would actually constrict you to in the long run. And I'm really interested in that. So let's fast forward. You came fourth in the competition. You released your singles. They were very successful in their own right. And then you had this opportunity to renew your contract with Sony. Actually, before we get there, let's go back to the singles, right? Because you just made a reference to the fact that Bella Ferraro was this construction, not just by you, but by a team of people.
100%.
So in the spirit of talking about honesty and staying true to yourself, what was the process like of then releasing these 2 singles outside of the show? And what was that process, that emotional process like in staying true to who you were, when you looked at those music videos trending on MTV or wherever they were played? What did that feel like inside of you at that point?
I think I was still quite proud of it at the time. But ultimately, it got to a point where it's like, well, if I'm such a collaborative effort with so many people, then is it really the message that I'm trying to send? Is this really the work that I want to produce? Are these really the songs that I want to sing? You know, or lyrics that I want to write? And it was difficult because I still appreciated that for what it was, but it was pulling me in one direction and I was just so wanting to go in the other direction. And it felt very constricting. I mean, again, like it had its perks as well, but it just ultimately it wasn't me.
Of course. I'm so grateful that I'm able to interview you on this chapter specifically, because even in the last 7 years of working with people in my role as a facilitator and helping people through these sort of transitional periods, one of the biggest pain points that I've identified in so many people is them reaching this point in their life where they've invested something into a direction for a particular amount of time. You know, maybe even it's a uni student that's given 3 years to a degree, and then at the end of that degree they realise, fuck, this isn't actually what I want to do. This isn't true to myself. But for a lot of people, they feel that pressure of needing to follow that direction anyway because they've already started to walk that path. So what made you able to sort of be like, well, no, even though I'm already achieving success, and I'm assuming that you had validation and positive reinforcement around you from other people, right? That's a no-brainer. So what was it in you that you were like, no, even though I've already seen that this could be successful for me, this isn't actually where my true desire lies?
You know, I think a lot of people assume that once you've got that record contract that your career is set in stone, but, you know, honestly, it's not at all what it is. And again, like, it doesn't matter what other people say or what other people's perceptions or thoughts were. Like, if it wasn't coming from me, then I was just able to be like, look, I understand that's what you think I should be doing, but if it's not what I think I should be doing, then I'm just not gonna do it. Of course.
100%. Because that's hard for people, isn't it? That pressure, like, that's something that people really, really struggle with, is owning what they want versus the perception of what people around them think that they should want. More people are comfortable conforming to the way other people are behaving rather than actually challenging the status quo.
Definitely.
Challenging society. And I really believe, like, a part of my vision for people adopting this way of living and this philosophy of loving out loud is to actually realise that to love people is actually to challenge them as much as it is to support them.
Yeah.
That it's a really core component of loving each other as humanity. We actually need to be challenged.
Yeah, definitely.
Because through that challenge we grow.
Yeah.
And through that challenge we get to a deeper sense of authenticity. Like, as a friend, you challenge me.
Thank you.
That's why I value you, your viewpoints, you're very strong in your views, and you're not just going to accept something that someone says just because they're strong in their views. You're happy to challenge it.
Definitely.
And I think that that's really important.
Thank you.
So when you sort of look at why people aren't being that way, whether that's insecurity or whatever, and even in your own experiences of your own friendships, relationships, and, you know, even through your experiences in music, you've surely been around people that are very influential. What do those sorts of people have that are happy to challenge something that an everyday person that doesn't feel comfortable doing that, what does that person have that they don't? And how can people build that within themselves?
I was going to say probably a stronger sense of their own truth.
Yeah. Which is, you get there by just every day practicing that honesty with yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference between me and maybe people that do conform, because I definitely wouldn't consider myself a conformist at all. I've definitely challenged the status quo numerous times. But I think that's because I'm just so sure of, like, what I believe in, that I'm happy to have that challenged, of course, but I'm also really unhappy to have that compromise.
It's not going to shake the grounds of who you are if someone challenges you.
No, of course not.
You're happy to have a dialogue.
In fact,
I
think challenging is really important because
you get to check yourself if it's what you really believe.
Definitely. But it also opens conversations, and I think through conversation and through communication is the way that we can actually become more connected.
100%. And we expand our own perception, right? Like, if you and I can have a conversation that's challenging each other's beliefs, but we also have that contained with love, and I know that no matter what you challenge, it's not actually, it doesn't mean that you don't care about me as a person or value me as a person. You're just challenging my views.
Yeah.
And if we can have that container, then both of us have an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
So do you kind of feel like sometimes we fear challenging other people, or we fear having those sort of more confrontational conversations because we think that's actually going to mean I'm not going to be liked as a person, I'm going to be rejected as a person, my relationship with this person is going to be compromised. Like, it blows my mind, even in, say, the corporate work I do, when an employer will get me in to look at their culture, and, you know, the CEO might say to me, the culture in this organisation is really bad, and they think that it's this really complex problem. When you break it down, it's just because the employees in the lunchroom won't actually talk about the fact that it really pissed, you know, Jack off that Sally decided to have the last bit of coffee, and it's actually really fucking simple. But why was it that those people felt that they couldn't have that conversation? So it became this really big thing, it became really built up, and there was this fear that was really convoluting the situation. And I think a lot of the time, that really gets in the way of people being honest. These little things that just build up and up and up, that aren't actually communicated, that just get out of hand, and then there's all of this disconnection, and no one feels comfortable having those conversations.
It's also easier to agree, I think. It's also a lot easier just to nod and agree. It's not the right thing to do, but it's the easier thing to do.
So for the most part, people might not necessarily want the responsibility that comes with challenging something.
Yeah, definitely. It's just easier to agree, or, you know, as well, like, it's easier just to take what's being said to you and not challenge it.
But for someone that doesn't have that naturally, how would you develop that? What would be like? What would your advice be to someone that was really like, I want to start challenging things, but I don't feel self-assured. I don't feel confident in who I am.
Well, that's a big question. I don't know how you sort of tell someone how they can be more confident in themselves.
No, just, I guess, from your perception of people and what you feel people lack from the way that you get to see people through the lens of what you can naturally understand. When you see someone that is really disempowered, unable to challenge something, or really uncertain in who they are, what's the thing that goes through your mind where you're like, wow, if only you... ...
Perhaps let go of a fear of rejection.
Amazing. So letting go of
because
that fear
of rejection. Yes, because as I said, I believe most people are actually good people.
Yeah.
And we're all just misguided. And I think Yeah, there is a massive fear of rejection, but it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary.
Because when you're living your truth.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be naturally drawn to those people anyway.
Totally. So, okay, so we've covered a lot of grounds. Your journey into becoming the adult that you are.
That I'm trying to be.
But also
working
are
towards.
today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. Never get too complacent. You can always work on yourself. I think.
Like comfortability as well. And I think that that's part of being honest with yourself, right?
Yeah.
That you can especially if you've achieved a level of success, you can ride that success and not necessarily. I remember like you actually said to me, and this is something that's really stuck with me and something that I've said to a couple of my best friends a couple of times too, which is talent, hard work beats talent and talent doesn't work hard.
Did I say that?
Yeah. And that comes down to complacency, right? Is that you can have a natural talent and natural success, but if you're not prepared to work for it and continually challenge yourself, that's just as applicable to your own journey as it is broader society.
Yeah.
The world definitely needs more than that. So the last couple of questions that I really wanted to ask you, in the chapter, I frame desire and being honest with your desires, because desire is a really interesting thing when you get down to the guts of it, right? Because what we desire often isn't conventional. You know, the things that we desire, whether that's a dream that we have to travel the world, or a sexual desire that's really unconventional in the eyes of the people around you. And often that fear of rejection and that fear of being different actually holds us back from our desires. But desire is actually a growth path.
Yeah.
To fully honour what it is you desire no matter what is actually the path to growing as an individual. And I guess just wanted to hear your reflections on, since that whole journey as an 18-year-old, how your desires have led you to where you are now, and what relationship that's given you to music, but also more broadly to life.
Okay.
Have you always stuck with music as a desire? Has life sent you on other twists and turns and down other rabbit holes after the show? Yeah,
I think life has sent me down many rabbit holes, certainly. I think, and that's a misconception too, I think I like to remind people that I have other talents too that aren't just music and singing. Like, I love creative writing. I love people. I'm very much a people person, and that skill has allowed me to flourish in hospitality industry, for example. And I'm so happy with the people that I'm surrounding myself with, and I'm so excited at the opportunity to grow and to develop and not have just taken an easy paycheck, because that's what it would have been. And I'm excited to actually leave a mark on the world through my art, perhaps, that is so what I want to say. Because, I think you were saying before, death is inevitable, but art lives on, and
that's your legacy.
I think so, yeah. But also, just while we're I guess wrapping up and talking about honesty and truth and stuff, so my truth is to always be very kind to everyone. Like, that's a huge truth for me, is to be very kind and accepting. So as long as I'm doing that every day, I have a peace within myself, and I feel like for me that's an achievement, like not a university degree, not my HSC, like not a career that I don't want. Like, for me, I feel like I've achieved something because perhaps I've smiled at you and it's made your day.
Totally.
That is very important to me.
Different, but surely you've really thought about
And that's not discrediting uni degrees as well, by the way. You should be proud of that. You should be proud of that.
If you love it, in which case, if you don't, you should probably question all of your life choices after watching this interview.
It's more just that my values and what I believe are good morals is to treat people with kindness, respect, love, out loud. Do you know what I mean, though? That's what I value. That brings me happiness. That's my truth.
100%, but you've taken the time to really figure that out.
Yeah.
I guess firstly, thank you so much, Bella, for sharing some of your story with these guys and your reflections on honesty and desire and staying true to yourself over conforming to society and being polite because you feel you don't want to make other people uncomfortable. All of those things are so valuable, I think, in the world today, especially in our generation, I guess a generation where they're questioning, is the world the way we really want it to be? And what role can we have as a generation in really progressing the way that we live, and the way that we interact with each other, and also how we define success? I think that's a really big thing. And honesty is a really important stepping stone, I think, in coming to that, those conclusions as
Definitely.
as a world. And I think that you're just testament to that. So thank you for giving your time.
Thank you, Nicole.
And last question is,
Okay.
what do you think it means to, or what does it mean to you to love out loud when you hear that term?
To love out loud.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. What does it mean to me?
Hmm.
I think I was touching on it before. It's just to don't be afraid to show that love in the way that you show it, and let it touch as many people and let everyone feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it means to me. It just means literally everyone together loving out loud. I love you out loud, Nicole.
I love you out loud too, Bella.
Oh,
No, high five.
should we hug?